Hi BookTube, I'm here with an on my shelf video. The basic idea behind these types of videos is that you take three numbers that correlate to your shelves and you pull off the corresponding books. So I have three shelves here: my Canadian literature shelf, my fantasy shelf, and my literary fiction shelf. Fortunately, all my other shelves are at my dad's house. I then picked off three books. I got these numbers through random.org, and I'm now going to talk about books that I otherwise probably wouldn't talk about. So, my first set of numbers was shelf number 3, which is this one right behind me, my literary fiction shelf, and it was on this shelf number 5, which is in the middle here, book 9. And what came out was Fury by Salman Rushdie. And I haven't read this book. I actually haven't read anything by Rushdie, which is quite a shame. This is one of his lesser known works. He's more known for Midnight's Children. But this one is actually about anger, I believe. Yeah, there's fury within him, and he fears he's become dangerous to those he loves. So I can't say much about this because I haven't read it. I don't really know quite what it's about. But yes, Fury by Salman Rushdie is that book. The next set of numbers was 1, which is my Canadian bookshelf, shelf number 4, and book number 12, which was an anthology of Canadian literature in English. Now I've peeked through some of this. I obviously haven't read it from front to back, but it's what it says. It's Canadian literature that was written in English. So from 18th century to the present, I think it starts off with what's her name, Emily Montague or Montague, written by Frances Burke. Some Samuel Hearn, I've read that one. And David Thompson, I've read that one. Catherine Parr-Traill, Susanna Moody, all these, Pauline Johnson, Sarah Jeanette Duncan, Stephen Leacock, all these great Canadians. And it goes right up until 1990, which was the present day when this book was printed. So yeah, there's different, oh look, even there's Leonard Cohen in here. There's lots of poetry and excerpts and short stories, and if you haven't picked up any Canadian literature, do so. It's definitely really good. Not all of it, obviously, but not all literature is good, but definitely try and pick up some Canadian literature. And this next book I'm really excited to talk about because I have read it multiple times. So I got shelf number 2, which is my fantasy bookshelf, which, let me tell you, there's not a lot of, when I say fantasy, it's not all fantasy literature. It's kind of what I call kind of like fantasy nonfiction, kind of, except for Lord of the Rings and Narnia, which are on there. And it was shelf 6, book 11, and it was this one, and this is actually part of a series. I'm actually going to pull those out. Let me show you. Where are they? So I have gnomes, and I have giants, and I have witches, and I have fairies. So I have this whole set here. And I don't even know if they're meant to be a set, but what I really like about them is that they pretend that these fantastical creatures are real. So in here, there's some not safe for work pictures. It looks like a journal, so there's actual pictures of gnomes and their families, and then like written stuff about them. So you learned about their houses. I think there's some really good ones here. That's not safe for work because it goes right into okay, I don't know if you want to look at gnome butts. It tells you all about gnomes and what they do, and it kind of addresses them in a scientific manner. which I really enjoy. And then it comes with some, eventually, short stories about the gnomes. And this book is falling apart. I really should fix it. So yeah, I really, really love these books. I'm actually going to show you a bit of the other ones. I know I'm only supposed to do one, but so if you see here again, we have, I'm talking about fairies, you know, different kinds of fairies and what their life is like. And here we have the one on witches, and it does it in the same kind of manner. They're all done by different people, so they're all in different kind of formats. But see, what does a witch look like, kind of thing. Different pictures. Yeah, I really like these. They're from when I was quite younger. This one's about giants. There's some pictures of giants. There's pictures of giants. I think they're really beautiful, and they really get into like the nitty-gritty of it, so they're not just like geared towards children, because they do talk about, especially in the gnome one, they talk about sexuality and birth and marriage and all those kind of topics. So it's kind of like, as I said, fantasy nonfiction. So those are my on my shelf books that I wanted to share with you today. And let me know if you've read any of these, or if you're interested in any of these, and I may go a bit more in depth about these fantasy nonfiction books in another video. So remember to keep on reading.